Welcome everyone. This is John T. Imisha. Today is January 11th, and this is our A0 Circassian class, Eurasian section. So Satanai, what how was we how was Abiyit Arsit?
Abiyit Christoph.
Christoph. Sabi we Sabi Zit oh sit with these. Oh Yatsaker sit.
Alex and Ivan.
Alex امرأ إيفان امرأ في سبيكش طوريش عليها على حما خجابز طوريش عليكش يا نبش خرست. How old are they? يا نبش خرست
8 and 4.
يا نبشكر سي نخجر يلسي خواش سي نخجر my older سي نخجر يلسي خواش he's become 8 سي نخجر يلسي خواش my younger is 4. وبسو عليا دي شبخ
Саджанти, даушит.
سخرزنش what داوشت
Цари сахарзинаш, so.
To name you should teacher we dej just at kwada.
Should teacher?
Do name you should teacher prognos. Do name you should teacher we dej just at kwada.
Our aish.
A es noba. What we dej west os. West os. What does it mean what I just asked you?
Is it snowing today?
It's
Like
snowing.
it's
Yes. West Qaisara we dej
That was us.
West Coast Nova. What the shubh the delhuia.
Sa shipzaqwa fiash.
We shipper nakhj hamara nakhsha. Nakhj. Abiyit arsit.
Si shipom yitzer marinash.
Marinash Aritsadakash. I won't ask her name because it's not polite to ask women's names. If she was a small child, I would ask, but it's not polite to ask ages. Wianri, Yujiripso. Yatsakarsit.
Sianam yitzer madinash. Si Adam yitzer aslansh.
Qaji ajatsa?
Aslansh.
Aslansh. Ari. So mitsadakh yaash. So Aliyah. Khatma bsalla. Melich.
Daushet.
Sakharzinash. Mahwaf quit. Have a nice day.
Mahwaf Somit Hamqawit.
Msta wa the shibh the delhuia.
Worksheet siash. Wash nachajit.
Wash nachajit. Tori nachaj wanakhara. Yatsakhar sit.
Adilre Shahinre.
Shahilra.
Shahin.
Qaji ajat?
Shahin. This sound.
قصبغاو يا نبشكر ست ودا
توشره توره the adreer 30, but I don't know how to say 30.
Shash. Da fonts. Upso. Lalina. Da should be shibh.
Sakharzinash wow daushet.
Sarisa Kharzinash. We dejta noba do name you should teacher sit kwada. Какой сегодня погода? Uh-oh. Abi internet.
How do you say misty?
Your internet cut out. قصدي أجد؟
How do you say misty?
Misty. Oh, that is a very specific word. If it's a little, I'm not sure the exact word for misty. The word I know is washkarila. Washkarila. Washkarila means there's a little bit, it's not drizzling and it's not raining. There's a little bit of light rain coming down. Is that how it is? Or is it foggy?
It's foggy.
You can say bachatich. There's mist. Mist and steam are the same word. Bachatich.
Washkarila means marasit. Right?
Washkarila means what, Kirill?
Marasit. Marasit in Russian. Very small drops of rain.
Oh, you know what? The word that we're looking for in Russian is tuman.
Tuman is fog.
Yeah. Lalina, what the shubh the delhwia?
What does the shubh mean?
So shubh is sister. Delh is brother, but only for a sister. And if I'm asking you if you have them, I would say za shubh, za delh, za za za shubh, za delhwia. It would be if I were to say shubhwia, it would almost be like you have it in your hand as a possession, like it's not an animate object. So because this is a relationship that you have, not an object that you have in your hand or that you stick in your pocket, we say za shubh, za delhwia.
The depth to
Sa delhwit siash.
sa delhwit siash.
Acher nachiz. Are they older? Hama nachisa.
Nakhsha.
Nachisas. Ya nibshkar sit.
Nazir Ichi Gumar.
Aryatzachash, that's their names. Ya nibshkar. How old are they? Ya nibshkar sit.
11 and 7.
Pshukuzra, blirra. Pshukuz is 11. Pshukuzra, blirra. 7. Whoopso. Samira. Dawshet. Wiyanri we shubkhuri danasha'a.
ويعني سيعني شكري I forgot. Go to swim.
All right. So you know what? We can just say, if you want to say they're not available, this is easy to remember. Instead of saying, oh, they're at the store, they're at work, they went swimming. These are too many things to remember. So part of becoming fluent in the language is knowing what to say. That's easy to say in many, many cases, right? So you can say, Akhir they're not available. They're not free. I'll spell this on the board on the slide in a minute, but
What's the mean?
They're not available. They're not free.
Okay. Thank you.
Die sind nicht frei jetzt.
Danke schön.
Es kommt auch nicht frei like freedom, aber frei auf Zeit.
Okay.
Ich habe keine Zeit right now.
Okay, Dankeschön.
Okay, Mehmet Ali. Oh, languages. I speak a bunch of languages. I speak 6, a little bit here and there, 6. Zeren. Zeren, wo الشحرة. Okay, Zeren وشحركم. Gözde. Gözde, wo الشحرة. ريك وشحركم. براق. ريك وشحركم خونش. زوار.
سلام.
وعليكم السلام سقش. وو الشحرة.
انت.
ودنا الشقة يجيب ستون.
ونمس الشيش.
ونمش أص. زوار زشبخ زقشوية.
قرشيت سيئة.
قرشيت
ويئة. الشبخ سيئكم.
شبخ زري ويئكم.
انت.
ويقشخر نخج حمراء نخشة.
نخشة.
نخشش. ياتسخر ست.
قصوخ سيجا.
ياتسخر ست.
زري تركيا ميدسر يتسر سامي. أدري نالشك ميدسر يتسر محمد نور.
وي ويف أشخنقم أوا سيادم يتسر ساميش. سيادشهم يتسر محمد نورت. Yeah. So what I just said, all right, so Ziwar told me that his brother's name is Sami and his other brother's name is Muhammad Nur. And I said, there's a hidden meaning in what I said. I want to see if anybody can figure it out. Siyadam yitzar Samish. Siyadashkum yitzar Muhammad Nurt. First of all, what's the difference? There's a very minor difference in what I just said. Did anybody hear it?
You ended one sentence with an ish, another with T.
Yes. So let me say it again for other people. Siyadim yitzar Samish. Siyadashkum yitzar Muhammad Nurt. Grandfather, Muhammad Nurt. So when we say in Circassian, verb tenses are very easy in Circassian. When I put something in the past tense, so I'll use sopsasha. Sopsasha, I'm speaking. Sepsachash, I spoke. Sepsachanush, I will speak in the future. So to put anything in the past, we say ash. It has nothing to do with the other sh that we add to statements. It's a different sh. When we put something in the past, we say ash. When we put something in the future, inush. Sasokwa, I'm going. Sasakwash, I went. Sasakwanush, I will go in the future. Sasoshata, I'm flying. Sitlatash, I flew in the past. Sitlatanush, I will fly in the future. This is I cannot think of any verb that breaks this rule. Never say never, but I cannot think of any verb that breaks this rule. Now, if we want to put something into the distant future, someday, auf Deutsch eines Tages, Samira, well, she's the only German speaker. So someday, okay, we would say is mahuagwar, someday, sitlatanut, I would fly. Far in the future, unspecified time. And if I did something way in the past, I would say, okay? So in common speech, if I say, Siyadam yitzar, Samish, Siyadashkum yitzar, Muhammad Nurt, what I'm saying is, my father's name is Sami. My grandfather's name was Muhammad Noor. So if I say his name was Muhammad Noor, what I'm really saying is he's no longer alive. Now that's a nicer way than saying, oh, my grandfather died. He died many years ago. Don't worry, anybody. He died. He led a very nice life. He went to Hajj, everything. So, but my point is, when you're speaking to people, right, if you hear them say something about a person and they put it at the end, it means probably that person is alive, right? So you could also, you might hear something like, Si adashkur wurseim qichat. My grandfather came out of Russia like a long time ago, right? I sometimes hear diaspora people who no longer consider themselves to be Circassian. They'll say, Si adashkur adigat. My ancestors were Circassian. They don't say it in Circassian, obviously, because they don't feel themselves to be Circassian. That's their choice. That's their choice. But when you hear that, it shows that it's in a distant past. And if it's connected to a human, usually it means that that human no longer is alive.
Janti, I didn't hear what you said with your grandfather. I didn't notice what you're talking about.
Siyadashwam Yitzar Muhammad Noort.
Okay, I heard it now. Okay.
Siyadim Yitzar Samish. Siyadashwam Yitzar Muhammad Noort.
Okay. I didn't hear the T at the end before. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it doesn't just mean they passed away. So for example, just like in English, like if I said his name was, we would know he's no longer with us. I have an ex-wife. We get along great. We're just not married anymore. So someone once asked me, was your ex-wife Circassian? Yes, she was Circassian. She still is Circassian, but that's just how we speak sometimes. All right, let's go into the slides. Share the screen. And whoops, I need to make this a little bit. This.
Okay. Just turn it off.
All right, everybody can see my screen? All right. So remember, you guys have your characters. It's your job to remember who your characters are, what your characters are doing. I'm not going to spend any time reviewing the slides today because in the conversation that we just had, we did all that. We did all that, right? So, but what I am going to do is I'm going to keep a little notes slide. This is from last class. It's one set of slides for both classes. So, who remembers what wukushahara means? Remember I said this to Samira?
Something like, are you present?
Are you free? Available.
Oh.
Are you free? Are you available? Right? It's not going to be something I use a lot in the class, but whenever I give you new information, I'm very surprised. Sometimes I hear you guys talk and something I said once 5 classes ago, it's like you studied it, you memorized it, and it's like something you say very well. So I want to make more of an effort to share some of this stuff sometimes. By the way, these slides are available to everyone. I'll drop them into the chat here. They're always available. Both sections use the same. Let me go in the chat here. Both sections use the same slides, so they're always available. Okay, this is page 10. Page 10. Okay. So everyone open your microphones. No mute. Come off the mute. Come off the mute. Come off the mute. All right. Class. Sit. Leggera. Sit, Janti. Class. في قروض بصوخة. Okay. مرسالس. عالم يتسر. Osmans. عالم يتسر Osmans. We know that. But guess what? Aler adigas. Oh. Aler adigas. Aler adigas. Aler adigas. Aler adigas. Aler adigas. Aler adigas. Hama harap. Aler adigas. Aler adigas. Aler Turk. Hama waris.
Hawa.
Radigas. Samira. Wawana mitza. What do you think?
I can't see. 1 second.
I'm sorry, give me 1 second.
Okay. So when I'm muted,
We have a little guest for a while here, guys.
Hi.
Sabina. That was shit. Muguzava. What question also? Mechari diraj ano adigabza? Adigabza professor wishitin kwe wasmanam kodo? She's a little shy. So Samira, yapishtas just before I said wasman adigash. Wasman. What does that mean?
Osman is Circassian.
Westman is Circassian, right? And then on the slide, right, I have all these nationalities: Adiga, Harap, Turk, Waris, Namitsa, American, Yinjiliz, Jurt, right? So I asked you, what was Namitsa?
So when I'm muted, our
So what do you think I'm asking you? Tell me in English what you think I'm asking you.
Where I come from.
So if I say
Winna?
It's not winna, it's the word here is namitsa.
Yes.
You see this word here?
Yes.
Namitsa, right? So I'm asking you, are you German? I'm not asking your family name. I'm not asking where you live. I'm asking, are you German? Bist du Deutscherin auf Deutsch?
No. Nein.
Du bist kein Deutscherin, ja? Was bist du?
Adiga.
Adiga, Circus. Du bist Circus, yeah? So when I ask you, wo in the Mitza? I'm asking you, are you German? So how would you answer me in Circassian?
So when I'm said Adiga.
Your family name is Circassian.
How on? So when I'm said okay. So when I'm said Jewish.
Your family name is Jewish.
Yes.
Your family name is Jewish?
Adiga.
Okay. So what I'm asking you is, are you German? And if you answer me that you are German, you would say, but you are not German, you are Circassian. So you would say, Hawa sasana mitzakam sasa adigas. Sasa adigas. Do you understand the concept?
No.
Wenn ich spreche auf Englisch, verstehst du?
Ja, ich verstehe schon, aber
Okay, Englisch ist nicht Problem, ja?
no.
Türkisch ist das Problem. Okay,
Yes.
okay, just making sure. We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you, okay? The concept,
Okay.
sometimes it takes time for the concept to get into our brains, okay?
Yes. Mhm.
Mahmoud,
Evet.
what İngiliz?
How se İngilizce bakın se adigos.
What adigas? Sarisa adigas? Sabina,
Are
what adigas, Sabina? Yeah, okay. Sıçıp onu kuyet, Mahmoud?
sida
Did you want to say something more? Sıçıp onu kuyet?
how, but I would like to ask something. What's the meaning of Harib? Which nation is it?
Arab.
Arab. Okay.
Arab. Harab.
Thank you.
We don't
Arab.
have ayn. Mu'ayn. Mu'ayn. Oh, you don't speak Arabic. Mu'ayn bil Circassian. Okay. Satanay.
Set.
What was jurt?
Hawa. Sasi adigash.
What was adigas? Wash hawasawi'a?
Hawa. Sawi.
Shazar
What's
hawas.
how? French.
Wash hawasawi'a?
Sash how. Shawis. What? Shawisa.
Hawasa.
Shawisa. Sash hawisa. French. I don't know how to say French.
We didn't get there. I'm asking. So I'm reviewing what we did earlier.
Oh
in
yes,
class.
what we did earlier.
Okay.
Yeah. Inta, I
Do
have.
you have a spouse? Wash hawasawi'a?
Inta.
Inta. Sash hawasa si'as.
Sash hawisa siash.
Okay. Abiyitsar sit.
Abit Christoph.
Christophs. Aria diga.
How?
Abiy Shepkar sit. What's his nationality? Abiy Shepkar sit.
Abi French.
French. How would we say French?
Fransızca.
Fransız. I would say our
Fransız.
Fransızım şiş.
French.
French. Okay, well, you could say our French. French, and then you add ish. French. Okay, Khons. Whoopso. Lalina.
Sit.
What Turk?
Hawa sa si Turkum sa adigas.
Urus.
How? Sa uruskum. Sa si uruskum.
What's it called the ship?
Sa si adigas.
What adigas? Why is that adigas? Salary? Urus.
How? Shalir adigas.
Salary adigas. The dosa. Salim yitzar sit.
Shalir mitzer osmansh.
Salary yitzar. Salim yitzar wasmansh. Whoopso. Alia.
Sit.
Nilgun Turk.
Hawa. Nilgun tulkum.
Nilgun sit.
Nilgun adigash.
Nilgun adigas. Pej. Is this concept clear to everybody? Samira. What were American?
Hawa. Sasi Amerikankum. Sasi adigash.
What were adigas? What were Nemitza? What were Nemitza?
So when
But it's
I don't know.
So it's okay. I think what's happening here, I think you understand the concept. I think everyone understands the concept. I think what's happening here is the word for German is Nemitza.
Yeah.
And in your mind, when I say Nemitza, which is what's here on the screen that I'm highlighting, when I say namitsa, somehow your brain is hearing wunatsa. Wunatsa
yes.
is family name.
Yes.
So I think that's what's happening. I think the word is namitsa, but you are hearing wunatsa.
Yes.
Yes? Okay, okay. So the concept is clear. This
Okay.
word is just a little ein klein Problem.
Sorry. Okay. How is نمتكم?
Okay. Abgruas. Okay. I'm not going to go in depth on this. I just want to get the concept clear. Okay. We're going to go a little bit further
May I
on.
ask?
Yes, Kirill.
I think there was another word for Jew, George, or is it the same word? I just heard it.
The word for Jewish?
Yeah.
There's a word in the last class. Maybe you're thinking about a video that you watched. Somebody used a word. It's not a bad word, but it's not a good word either. And they said, hey, I heard this word. Does this mean also Jewish? And I explained to them that sometimes people use that word, but it's not a nice word to use for Jewish people. So he didn't use it because he was using a bad word. He just said, hey, I heard this too. Can I use this? And I said, it's probably not a good idea to use that word.
I just maybe heard it wrongly because so is it Jurt?
Jurt.
The main word for
yes, Jurt.
Not like George.
No. Jurt. Jurt.
Can you tell me the bad word?
Since you asked and I know you're Jewish, yes, I'll tell you. It's not a bad word, but it's not a nice word. It's Jiddish.
Jiddish. No, it's from Russian. Jiddish.
No, it means chicken eater.
Really?
It means chicken eater. Yeah.
Strange.
I'm one of those.
Yeah, Albert's a chicken eater, but not Jewish. So like I said, it's not a bad word, right? But it's not, we should call nationalities by their proper names. We should not make up names for them, you know?
Yeah, actually, it's a good word for me because I eat chicken and I don't eat meat.
So it applies to you.
Yeah, Jiddish.
Well, I don't like using the word, so I'm not going to.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other questions about nationalities? Okay. So before we go on, the reason that I introduced this is who knows how to say the Circassian language? Adigabza. So what does the word bza mean?
Language.
Language. So adigabza, adiga is the nationality. Adigabza is the language of Circassian. So how would we say Turkish language? Turkubza. How would we say Russian language? Urasibza. So this is again, I don't like to say always or 100%, but I cannot think of any example that breaks this rule, right? Adigabza, harapibza, turkibza, urasibza, nemetsibza. We don't say Americanibza, we say Yinjilibza, Jurtibza, right? So the word for language is bza. Who remembers what the word for tongue is?
Bza.
Zaug. Zaug, right? So language is bza, tongue is bzaug. Zaug. Who remembers what the word gu means? Heart. So the word bzaug, which is our tongue, it's the heart of a language, right? We cannot speak a language, well, there's sign language, but that's a very modern creation, right? So historically, without your tongue, you could not speak a language. And writing is not, it's also a very recent thing, right? Circassians only had a written language since the 1920s, 1930s, right? So bzaug is the heart of a language, bza, which means language, gu, which means heart. Clear? Okay. Yes, you know what? You're right, Kirill. There's actually a this really nice philosophical essay that I read talking about how there's gesture language, there's emotional language. Yes, gesture is a language too. Mahmoud, you had a question.
Is there any exception in the word adige? I call it adige, but it's sound like me adige. It's softer like, softer G, which is correct. What?
So this is the softer G. What I highlight on the screen, it is the softer G. The harder G is this. R.
Huh.
R. R. My Turkish is not so good, but this is like the Arabic. Rain. Rain. R. R. It's
Right.
also like the French R. R.
I get it, but it's looks like something different with adige and adige.
Ah. So yeah. So I know what you're asking. In Circassian, there's two G's. There is R and there's G. There is no G. There is no, well, okay.
Or wish.
Well, that's gua. That's gua. That's gua. So there's three G's. Sorry, there's three G's, depending on your dialect. There is a G, there's a G, there's a R. Okay. This Circassian for adiga is the middle one. Most people who say it the way that you're saying it are diaspora who speak a different language, and they're borrowing the easier G that they know instead of the proper G, which is adiga. So adiga, adiga, adiga, there's no variation. There should be no variation. That is the correct pronunciation of the G, adiga. Now, there is a variation. Western speakers, so people who do not speak Kabardian, Western speakers, we will say adigabza, adiga, right here, adigabza, bza, adigabza. Western speakers will often say adigabza, adigabza. It's correct. It's not wrong. It's a different dialect, different pronunciation. It is equally correct. Adigabza is equally correct to adigabza. But in this class, we're teaching the Eastern dialect, also known as Kabardian. So we say adigabza.
I hope so. Yeah.
Okay. So we've covered this. We're not going to get into it. So we will continue on. We will continue on. Class. Alarma psata. Alarma psata. Alarma psata. Class.
Evet.
Alarma psata. Okay. So here, I don't do a lot of grammar in this class. This is not quite grammar, but this is a concept that people so right now, I think you guys know, I teach a Monday, Wednesday class for people in North America, and we teach it for evenings. And then I teach a Tuesday, Thursday class for people outside of North America. Albert is my special star pupil. He's in all the classes. And it's evening for you, but morning for me. So it's interesting because I see what they struggle with, and then I proactively bring it to you so you guys won't struggle with it so much. Okay. So in these verb tables, we show how to say this verb in all these different areas. Okay. Circassian verbs are very, very complex, but they have a pattern. They have a pattern. In all of these verb tables that I show you, you're always going to see that there is a verb root. This verb, it doesn't matter what the verb is, it always has the same root. The root may be smaller, but the root will always be the same. And I will always highlight it in blue. Okay. Now, in addition to the verb root, There is also a pronoun. The pronoun is sa. Pronoun is I, you, or he, she, it, right? Sa, wa, ar. So that's the pronoun. And then finally, there is a pronoun prefix that always, always, always goes with that pronoun. So for here to say I speak, sa so psasha, sa so psasha, wa wo psasha, wa wo psasha, ar ma psasha, ar ma psasha, ar ma psasha. Now, these prefixes are only for the present tense. Anytime, present tense statement. Anytime we do anything else, we ask a question, we make it negative, we put it into the future tense, we put it into the past tense. Anytime we do something other than present tense statement, the prefixes change. But they change once and they stay the same. So if I put this into the future tense, past tense, I'm always going to use the same prefix. So every verb has two sets of prefixes. One that we use in the present tense when we make a statement, and one that we use all the other rest of the time. So what happens here, if I ask you a question, or if I'm asking myself, now that's a strange question, but sometimes my kids are playing. Hey, Sabiha, Sabiha, they're playing, they're not paying attention. Sabiha, they're playing, they're not, hey, Sipsashara, am I talking? Right, so this is how I would use this, Sipsashara. So what happens is this so becomes a s. Likewise, this yo, right, wo, psasha. Well, it would be strange if we made it, if we put, this is already has like an sound in it. So it would be strange if we did this, whoops. We don't write this. In Circassian, you will never ever, this is a fact, you will never see this combination of letters. We don't do it, okay? So we say, wa whoopsashara when we ask a question. So this whoopsashara becomes whoopsashara. And then here's the thing that tricks up a lot of students. In the present tense, armapsasha, he is speaking. But if I ask you a question, it's still the present tense, but it's no longer a statement. If I ask you a question, arpsashara, there's no ma. There's no ma. We drop the ma. Okay. And then I'm going to skip ahead for a minute. If I put it into the past, I'm sorry, it's still present tense. If I make it negative, remember, it's still present tense, but it's not a statement. I'm negating it. Well, it's a statement, but I'm negating it, okay? So what do? This pronoun prefix stays the same, right? The pronoun prefix stays the same. We drop the ma when we ask a question. We drop the ma everywhere else. Remember, if we're not making a positive statement in the present tense, we drop the ma, okay? And then, you know, it would be strange if I said, it's an extra vowel we don't need. So this vowel here, we drop that vowel as well. And I just say, I am not speaking. I am not speaking. Okay. Now, those of you who have been exposed to native speakers, you will often hear people say, they drop. So some native speakers, what they'll do is they'll just say this. They drop the they drop the qum. Some native speakers say, Sasapsashakam. Right? So those are both acceptable. Those are both correct. They're not incorrect. There's certain people from certain regions that will add the that will add the q, and there's certain people that will drop one or drop both. In my house, we have three native speakers plus me. I'm not a native speaker. My two children and my wife, all four of us have slightly different ways of pronouncing things. That's how stubborn Circassian people are. All of them are acceptable. Concept is clear? Okay. So what I want to do, we're going to play with this a little bit, and then we're going to go into breakout rooms, and then we're going to come back. Okay. I'm going to give each of you guys a chance to experiment with this verb. Right now, we're going deep into one verb, right? It's still a story, but we're going deep into one verb because once you understand the structure of one verb, you'll understand the structure of most verbs, right? Let me give you an example why. Not all verbs follow the same exact pattern, but they all follow a very similar structure. So right now we're going through sopsasha, right? I'm speaking. Well, if I were to say I'm flying, soshata, right? So for example, the verb for to fly, shatan, the verb for speaking, psashan. If I were to use flying for this verb, sasoshata, wowoshata, ar mashata, sasashatara, wowoshatara, ar shatara, sasashatarkam, wowoshatarkam, ar shatarkam. So it's a completely different verb, but that verb follows the exact same pattern, right? So once we understand, and not all verbs follow the same exact pattern, but they have very similar structures. So once we really get comfortable with one verb, you'll be able to do all of this stuff. Let me give you an example. Albert, I'm going to cheat a little bit because Albert was in my, he's in my other class, and he also has, he can speak a lot of Circassian. But Albert, how do we say I want?
So wish.
Wish, you want.
What wish?
What wish? How do we say he, she, or it wants?
Wish.
Arwish. How do we say I don't want?
Sequetum.
Sequetum. Both are correct, right? You don't want. How do we say that?
Wowowetum.
He, she, or it does not want.
Arwetum.
Arwetum, right? So this, you guys see what I'm talking about? It's the same structure. It's a different verb root. We have different prefixes, but the same structure. Sa, sequish, wa, woquish, ar, quish. Sa, sequekum, ar, huekum, wo, woquekum. So once you get 2 or 3 verbs in total, it's going to snap in your mind and it's going to make sense. And the reason that I'm doing this is all of you speak Circassian. All of you speak Circassian. All of you speak Circassian better than you think you do. But all of you have fear or some lack of confidence because of the complexity of verbs. This is the most complex thing in the Circassian language. So if we can get you comfortable with a handful of verbs, all the other verbs will become very natural to you. I'm just trying to explain why we're doing this. Everybody cool with that?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to stay here for a little bit. Okay. We're going to play with this slide. Mahmoud.
Sit.
شعالر بساشرة. Remember. So شعالر مبساشة. Pej. شعالر مبساشة. Satanai.
Sit.
Sasa بساشرة.
Hawa وبساح.
Hawa sasa بساشة.
Hawa?
Sasa بساشة.
وبساح.
Sipsachara.
أنت
And tell me that I'm speaking.
واو بسا واو بسا
Pej! Sasopsachla. Lalina.
Yes.
Wowopsachara.
أنت سبساشة.
Pej. Wowopsachla. What does it mean when I say yijipstu?
Now.
Now, yijipstu. So give me a second. Whoops, yijipstu. Now,
I think.
Egyptu. Okay. Lalina. Sa Egyptu subsachara.
أنت سيجبستو سبساشة.
Wa Egyptu wopsacha. Yichi sari Egyptu subsacha.
How ويجبستو وبساشكم.
Sumapsachra. How sa Egyptu subsacha. Zachapchara sasimatar. Do you hear my voice? Sa Egyptu subsacha, Lalina. What am I saying to you?
That you're talking right now.
Yes, yes. Dala.
Suit, Janti.
He wasn't.
My electric cut off.
Yeah. This is a dedicated student. He's in an island off the coast of Africa with no electricity, and he's still got Wi-Fi. I don't even know how. He probably has like a mouse running in a little wheel to make the Wi-Fi signal go.
By the way, I am electrical engineering.
Yeah. Wa Egyptu wopsachra.
Das Egyptu se sobsata.
Egyptu dimaza psachra.
Hawa dimaze upsathartum.
Egyptu dimaza psachlarkum.
Satharkum.
Mtapaj. Egyptu dimaza psachlarkum. Samira. Chat Egyptu psachra.
Egyptu se subsachara.
Paj. Wo psachra. Yidrisha. Who else? Yidrisha.
Wa subsachara.
Sasopsachra. Paj. Paj. So what I just said to, is there a question?
Can I say dura subsachara? Dura, no.
I know what you want to say.
No.
Yes.
1 second. Dura subsachara.
Yes, I will get to that. Give me 1 second.
Duri.
So if I say Yijirisha, Yijiri is a very interesting word. It can mean more. It can mean more. It can mean
Again?
continue. It can mean continue. And when we add sha to the end of something, it means like, what more? What more? So if somebody asks me, what dawashit? I can say, I'm fine. Washa, what about you? What is you? But when I add sha, it means like, what about you? So if I say and you answer me, so you told me you are speaking. You said, I am speaking. That's what you said. And that's correct. But then I said, it's like, who else? What more? It's a very generic term. We can use it in lots of different cases. It's like echt auf Deutsch. You can use it lots of different ways, echt, but here it means what more. So if I ask you, Jirisha, you would say, wari, you also, wari wopsatha, you also are speaking. Now, your other question, who here, other than Albert, who here knows how to say, we are speaking?
De dopsate.
Correct. The dopsatha. Now, what this means is you are speaking and I am speaking, but it doesn't mean we're speaking to each other. It doesn't mean we could be speaking and not listening.
Is dopsate or?
Yes, I'm going to get there. So it could mean that we're speaking but not listening. It could be that you're on one side of the room speaking and I'm on another side of the room and speaking, but we're not speaking to each other. So like Melich says, to say we speak to each other, we change the dopsatha to the dizopsatha. The dizopsatha. So, slide, okay. The dopsatha. Dizopsatha. The dopsatha. We are speaking. We are speaking to each other. Or actually not to, with. Okay, so who remembers when I said before the word for fly? What's the verb that means to fly in the air?
Shata.
Shata. So how, Melich, would I would say, I fly?
Soshata.
Soshata, correct. Now tell me how I would say, we fly.
Soshata.
Soshata. And how would I say, we are flying together with each other?
Zoshata.
Zoshata. Remember what I was saying before about the patterns of the verbs? Once you figure them out, everything drops into place. Okay. So sasopsatha, wopsatha, the dopsatha, the dizopsatha. Who knows the verb for to fight or argue?
Zawa.
Zawa. So how would I say we are fighting?
Dozawa.
Dozawa. So imagine we're in a battle and we are both fighting the enemy. Dozawa. Now, Melich, how would I say we are fighting each other?
Zozawa.
Zozawa. 100%. 100%. Okay. Concept is clear? Okay. Great. Great. Dimaza.
Sit.
Yijibstu aliye psatra.
Hawa aliye psalqam.
Psatrqam yijibstu. Khat yijibstu psatra.
Nijibstu very melih.
Okay. Now we have a different form. You guys are more advanced than you think. You guys are more advanced than you speak. Okay. So, so let me think. Hang on. Let me just make sure I'm spelling this right. Okay. You could say, wari. Wari. Ari. Yopsasha. Yopsasha. Yopsasha. Wari melihri yopsasha.
Note. Very melihri yopsasha.
Pez. Okay. We're going to play with this verb more over the next couple of days, weeks, whatever, we're going to really, the goal here, just to remind you, it's not about memorization. It's not about memorization. It's about comfort. It's about being comfortable saying these things the way that you're comfortable breathing and walking at the same time. Nobody thinks about how to walk. Nobody thinks how much to breathe. We just do it. Okay. So we're going to come back to this. But right now, we're going to go into breakout rooms, and I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes. All right. And let me explain what I want to do. First, I want to make sure you guys have these slides. So it's in the chat. Now I'm going to make sure that you guys can all, and I'm going to stop sharing. Now I'm going to make sure you guys can all share your screens. Okay. Now there's 15 of you. We go 3 people to a, you guys know the rules. Everyone knows the rules. 3 people to a room, 2 people talk and listen. 2 people talk, 1 person listens. What I want you to do, use any slide you want. What I want you to do is explain something about the story that we have so far and go push yourself to go as far as you can. Okay. Try not to use the slides, but if you need them, they're there. But try not to use the slides. All right. And I'll give you an example. So let's say it's me and Melich and Mehmet, and we're all in the room. Okay. Mehmet is listening, and Melich is the one that I'm speaking to. And Melich might ask me a question if he's not sure or if I make a mistake. Okay. But Mehmet is just listening. Okay. So I'm going to say, and I'm going to try to skip the obvious things. We all know mirs alas, aler adigas. We know all that stuff, right? So I'm going to say something about my character. So I'm going to say, sasitzer jantis, sasas alas, yichi, sasa terminators. Terminator masaqwa. Terminator sarakoner masaqwa. Terminator saras, sasa adigas, sasa turqum, sasa warisqum, sasa Americanqum, sa American passport sias, awa sasa Americanqum, sasi thlaqr adigas, salary adigas, sa yijibstu sobsasha, yijibstu Mahmat psasharqum. Right? And that's all I remember. I forgot what Mehmet's character is. I forgot what Melich's character is, but that's a lot. Okay. So what you want to do, we all know the story. We all know facts in the story. Use the language to explain those facts. Okay. And if I said, now, Melich, maybe I said something that was not clear. So I want you now, and this is something I want you all to do. Ask me 2 questions.
Terminator شاقرة.
انت Terminator مشاقوة.
Terminator شت شاقرة.
Terminator
Is it true to ask?
مشاقوة. Okay, so he asked me 2 questions. So now it would be his turn to tell me, and then it would be Mehmet's turn, and he could tell either of us. Okay, so let me open up the breakout rooms. We'll do 5 of them, and I'll see you guys back in about 10 minutes. Okay. Is 10 minutes too long, too short, or good?
Depends.
Depends.
I think it is okay.
Yeah. Because I know it always takes people like a minute or 2 to figure out who's doing what. And then you have 2 minutes per person. So, all right. Cool. All right. See you guys in 10 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. Now, how did you find the breakout rooms?
Wow.
It was good? Helpful?
Yeah, it was nice.
Cool. Well, like I said, we're going to keep going into this verb over the next couple of classes. Once we get it down, you know, we'll have a really good understanding. Then we can go a little bit faster over time. I start my work day in a few minutes, so I try to make sure that this class doesn't run over. It's evening for you, but it's morning for me. Before we wrap up, though, I always like to try to keep just a few minutes for any questions that anybody might have. So we have 5 minutes. If anyone has any questions, anything we covered in this class, anything from last class, anything that you've heard, maybe my mother used to say this, my grandfather used to say this, what does this mean? Vocabulary, grammar, anything, I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
Janti, may I ask something?
Yes.
I'm asking did I understand correctly? If I want to say se spsetunush or sopsatunush, we will use this spsetunush because it's the which tenses?
I understand the question. I understand the
Future
question.
tense. Future
Yes.
tense.
So in the present tense, sa, so, o, sa, so, psasha, sa, so, psasha. In future tense and in past tense and in question form, si, sipsashara, sipsashanos, sipsashas. Okay.
Okay.
But if you are going to speak to someone, sa'ab sepselenos. Sa'ab sepselash. It's a different, we change it because we're doing it to someone.
Okay.
Okay. Sa sopsasha, sa sepselenos. Subshade sepselenos. I'm going to speak tomorrow. Subshade ab sepselenos. I'm going to speak to him tomorrow.
Okay. Hope so. Thank you.
So is. Yes,
I have
Kirill.
a question. Is there a link to some folder with all these presentations? Because
It's I shared it in the group chat.
and it's to this particular presentation.
It's one presentation and I just keep adding slides to it.
Oh, I see.
To make it easier, so instead of having multiple presentations, what I'm doing, I'm keeping the North American class and the Eurasian class at the same pace, and it's the same deck for both of you guys. And actually, something I said to the North American class, in addition to reviewing this video, if it's helpful for you, it could be more helpful to watch the other video for the other class, because it's the same content, but with different students. So sometimes when we hear information in different ways, it makes it easier to understand. So that's an option for you as well.
Thank you.
If we are free, can we join us? Can we join the other class,
Sure.
Janti?
Sure, Albert's in both if the time works for you, but the time for the other class is 5:30 in Chicago, so it's going to be 8 hours later for most of you. So 5:30, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1:30 a.m., 1:30 in the morning for most of you. But yeah, you can come to any class.
Okay, thanks. Hope so.
So is. Any other questions? One
I
more
have one.
question? Yes, Albert.
Very much.
Spouse, it sounded like you said Chawusa.
Chawusa.
Chawusa, right?
Cha, head.
Yes.
Wusa.
Yes. Okay, that's how that's how I know it. I misunderstood. Sorry.
Yeah. Chawusa. Mhm. All right. One last question. Anybody? We got time for one more? Going once. Okay. Albert takes the last question. Go ahead.
Going to the homeland. I don't know if this is the right time to talk about going to the homeland. In a
What's the
different
question?
setting, would that be better?
Well, you can, I need to run. I go every year. I'm a US citizen like you. I can probably answer any question you have.
When you go, how much, do you go as a tourist or do you go?
I go as a tourist. I get a tourist visa.
And is that difficult to get?
No, but I use a tourist expedite. I use a visa expediting agency to process my visa.
Uh-huh.
We'll take it
And
offline. We'll take it offline. Send me something on WhatsApp, Albert. Just send it to me personally. I'll answer any questions you have.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. All right, everyone. See you later this week.
Bye-bye. So, Jean-Pierre.
Bye.
Lecture.